Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Rick Tex, the parasite of Tex Messages, the Resurrection, which is also the show you're listening to. It's Sunday, January 27, 2019, broadcasting out of the deep north in Elk River, Minnesota. Now, normally we try to film 7 days, 6 or 7 days a week, whatever the case may be. Just 20 minutes, it's not too much to ask. It's a very, very small price to pay to provide a service to you, the ladies and gentlemen at home. I mean, I don't say that as, how a politician who makes 50 grand a year lives in $1 million houses and claims they're a public servant. I say that in thinking that the time that I prevent here to entertain and inform you will hopefully be symbiotic and, I'll be paid back in dividends. But without you, the ladies and gentlemen at home, this show is absolutely nothing. So that's why we thank you we try to thank you each and every day. We can't thank you enough. We absolutely salute you. With that being said, we're just honored to allow us into your homes or into your cars or vans or SUVs, whatever the case may be. Now, yesterday, for example, there's some issues. We had some pretty cold temps here. We had some issues. One of the water pipes that went to one of the bathrooms froze, so required not a lot of time to thaw it out, but it certainly required some degree of thought, and you got to put the big coveralls on and everything and get underneath there and run an extension cable and a heating gun and all that. So needless to say, mentally it was rather taxing, but from a time perspective it wasn't really that taxing. So that was one of the reasons why we didn't film a show yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Now we apologize for that. We'll try to make up for it in the near future, but we just every day is a little bit different. It's new experience and everything, and we're just going to try to keep the hammer down and keep moving forward. Now, with that being said, what we wanted, this is the second rendition of our show, our Sunday broadcast. The first show we talked about cocaine and environmental avoidance and all that. So what we want to talk about for this one is opioid addiction. Now, opioid is one of the #1 prescribers for painkillers. It's prescribed to people of all races, color, creed, genders, and everything. Everyone from young children to elderly people. So nobody's off limits. And what they found is the title of the article is "Parents Were Worried About Risks, but Still Thinks Opioids Are Best for Kids as Far as Pain Relief," what a nationwide survey said. So 2/3 of the parents believed opioids are better after surgery or broken bone than some of the alternatives out there. And now, as far as prescribing pain relief, the only time that I ever needed it was when I had wisdom teeth removed, which I found out was just a bad idea in general, and it was a sign of poor jaw health and just poor oral health and poor health in general. I mean, the fact is, the only reason people have their wisdom teeth removed is because they have an underbite, which means their jaw is too small, so then it doesn't have enough room to grow in the wisdom teeth. If you smiled, all of your teeth should touch each other. It shouldn't be your front 2 teeth look like buck teeth and they're hanging out over your back teeth or your bottom teeth, like that. So most people I've noticed in the U.S. have the overbite though, which is why a lot of people need to have their wisdom teeth removed. But anyway, getting back to the main story though, when I had all 4 wisdom teeth removed and I had to get the Vicodin and all that junk, and it lasted about 4 hours. But then when it would wear off, it would just be excruciating pain, and there was basically no way you could sleep or basically function in any capacity because pretty much your entire brain was just dedicated towards the pain that you felt. So I mean, there was maybe a couple days of using Vicodin, or 3, 4, 5 days a week, whatever. And people have different degrees of pain that they encounter when they have surgeries like wisdom teeth removal. But the fact of the matter is, pain relief is never, especially chronic pain relief, medication is just never really a prudent strategy, because it is very important to listen to your body and to get an idea of what's going on. So I mean, if you got chronic pain, then it's probably a good idea to, say you got chronic back pain, that's a good idea to evaluate your lifestyle. Maybe you're sitting on your ass all day, or you're not exercising at all, or you're not doing any sort of back work. Then you're probably going to have back pain all day. In fact, I had a lot of, maybe not so much back pain, but a lot of back discomfort back when I just worked on computers all day and just sat there and didn't really exercise at all or didn't do any resistance training. But now that I've been able to implement a program of resistance training, it's been able to, it puts a lot of stress on your back, but when you put that stress on your back, it adapts to it by building muscle. And then when you build muscle, then you don't have as much pain on a typical basis. So it is a bit strange, and it seems like you're almost working backwards to put pressure on parts of your body that are in pain so that it builds it up and makes it stronger. It's about building your weaknesses, tackling your weaknesses. Say for example, say you're not good at public speaking. So one of the ways to get better at public speaking is to go out in public and speak. Now yeah, at first and maybe at last you're going to make a goon out of yourself and feel like a clown, and it's going to be very painful. But over time, as you adapt to it and figure out more of the nuances and the minutia that goes into public speaking and how to make yourself great again and better at it and more accepting of it, you're not going to feel that pain anymore. And that's the same thing with chronic body pain. Let's say you got knee pain, for example. Now, yeah, for some people, yeah, there may be something wrong. Maybe a bone got broken that was misdiagnosed and it was never repaired, or there's some bone fragments floating around and stabbing you in random parts of your nerves and everything. But that's why it's important to listen to your body. If you just cut off the symptoms all the time and you never listen to it, anytime you had any semblance of pain, you just cut it off right away, you're never going to identify and eradicate the true underlying causes of the pain. So, yeah, I mean, for me personally, when I had to take the Vicodin or whatever for the 3-4 days, it was mostly because it was a trade-off between sleeping or not sleeping. And I figured, okay, alright, so if I sleep for 8 hours a night and I take a few Vicodins, I'm going to be better off than just staying up for 48 hours straight. Now the only other time that I probably stayed up for a very, very long time is when I cut up some piece of fiberglass and wasn't wearing proper safety equipment, and I was basically just itching for about 3 days straight. That was probably about the only other time I never slept. But another interesting thing to note about the wisdom tooth removal episode is we had this cat that didn't really appreciate my efforts as a companion to its existence. But the one time that cat actually laid down next to me when I was not really sleeping, but more napping, was being under that excruciating pain of the wisdom teeth removal. Oh yeah, it may have just been coincidental, but I did find it rather ironic that an animal was able to sense pain of humans. Now yeah, obviously it's not that hard to look at somebody and know they're in pain as another human. I mean, you can see grimacing on their face, or maybe they're limping, or they're favoring certain parts of their body, or they just don't look right. So it's not some magical talent that animals can sense pain on people, but it was interesting to note that the animal was there to comfort people in their time of need and everything like that. And getting back to the opioid study though, more than 2 million people abuse opioids. Deaths have actually tripled among teens and adolescents from 1999 to 2016. A lot of people argue that Afghanistan is big on the opium trade and everything too. Vietnam was kind of that too, or Cambodia, things of that nature. Now, if you want to get rid of old prescription drugs, just a side tip here, you can take them to the local police center or a pharmacy or health clinic. Now, if you put them down the drain or the toilet or whatever, they will get in the water supply, or if you just dump them outside and you use well water, they will eventually get into your well or into your water table. So that's why it's important to dispose of drugs properly. Just to avoid them in the first place is the most important part. Environmental avoidance, as we've discussed with addictions and eradicating that. Same thing with drugs too. Both recreation and pharmaceutical and prescription. Just a bad thing to do, and it doesn't really do you all that much good. I mean, yeah, humans are social creatures that require companionship, and we put trust into authority and everything too. So if we can go to a doctor and the doctor is a smart person that's been educated 20 years and can tell us that a drug is healthy, then, I mean, it would seem to make sense to just unconditionally follow that. But, I mean, we've been around long enough to know kind of how this world operates and how it works, and you generally do want to try to do a lot of your own research, or just common sense, or just analyze the sources of information that you're getting it and what goals they're working towards, which is also a very important consideration. Now that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the conclusion of the show. We're absolutely glad that you joined us once again. Hopefully we'll be back again in the very near future. Thank you very much.